Call this meeting to order, the Blackhawk County Board of Supervisors for March 15th, 2022. Roll call, Mr. Veeder.
Leyland.
Here.
Little.
Here.
Schwartz.
Here.
Trelka.
Here.
White.
Here, have a moment of silence to reflect on our actions of the day. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Have the agenda received as proposed or as amended?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Public comments. I don't see any public here. Anyone on Zoom? I don't hear anyone stepping forward. Claims and payments, Mr. Perry.
This week's expenditures total $487,675.79. Secondary roads makes up $20,221. Elections $67,706. Health Department $74,468. And finally, Sheriff's Department $145,674. Everything looked normal.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? This is a resolution. Please answer as your name is called.
Leyland.
Yes.
Little.
Yes.
Schwartz.
Yes.
Trelka.
Yes.
White.
Yes, resolution adopted. Next is receive project updates from department heads and elected officials. Morning, Ryan.
Morning, Board. Ryan Brennan, Assistant County Engineer. As the weather warms up this week, we do have a few of the motor graders out kind of touching up some of the washboarding and some of the spots on the gravel roads. Other than that, we are just getting ready for some construction to start up here in the next several weeks. So,
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Anyone online?
Good morning,
Fisa?
Board.
Morning.
This is Lisa Gordon, Blackhawk County Public Health Director. I just wanted to give you all a brief COVID-19 update. There hasn't been any changes, any drastic changes since last week. We are still at a low community level, so that's good news. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Hearing none, moving on to minutes approved for March 8th, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Consent agenda by resolution.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion on any of the items. Hearing none, that's the resolution. Please answer as your name is called.
Little.
Yes.
Schwartz.
Yes.
Trelka.
Yes.
Leyland.
Yes.
White.
Yes, resolution adopted. Next is contracts and agreements. This is a resolution that the agreement between Blackhawk County and the First Judicial District Department of Corrections Services for the purpose of providing supervision and alternative inmate housing for prisoners who would be otherwise be placed in Blackhawk County Jail, and to provide intensive pre-trial supervision in the amount of $260,000, 0% increase between July 1st, 2022 and June 30th, 2023. Be approved and direct the chair to sign for same.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? This is a resolution. Please answer as your name is called.
Schwartz.
Yes.
Trelka.
Yes.
Leyland.
Yes.
Little.
Yes.
White.
Yes, resolution adopted. Next is a resolution that the statement of completion and its final acceptance of work for project BROS SWAP C007 Bridge Replacement CCS on the Kimball Avenue be approved and direct the chair to sign for same, and authorize and direct the auditor to make final payment in the amount of $12,458.64.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, this resolution, please answer as your name is called.
Trelka.
Yes.
Leyland.
Yes.
Little.
Yes.
Schwartz.
Yes.
White.
Yes, resolution adopted. C
No,
is,
he's got some.
we do have some
Oh.
photos from the project.
oh, sorry.
No, that's fine. Just a few of them from construction, kind of a summary of that project. Again, we did award it at $415,071. Our total project was $415,228. They started around early August and finished around 10/19. About 41 of the 45 working days were used. The original bridge was built in 1936, and we ended up putting in a newer concrete slab structure. So just some more pictures of the existing bridge, and then kind of rolling through to some of the construction, all the substructure, pier, the piling, the abutment construction for it. Starting to set up a lot of the formwork for the concrete pour, all the rebar that's in the new bridge, and to kind of get into final concrete pour, and then kind of that final project. So that was one of 2 bridges we built of similar construction last year, and then also our bridge crew did have 2 others that were built as well. So
Nice
It looks like
pictures.
the,
No, I just thought, nice pictures. It looks really good.
well, did the elevation change? It looks like it was raised a little bit.
I don't think we raised it too much now. Similar to what it was.
I was just curious.
Nice
Looks,
job.
yeah, looks good.
Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Next is a resolution that the lowest responsible bid received from Manans, Brooklyn, Iowa for the fiscal year 2023 seal coat maintenance project number L7523 in various locations throughout the county with a bid of $92,058.50 be awarded to and recommended by Catherine Nicholas, County Engineer.
So moved.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Any questions you guys have?
No.
No,
None?
Okay.
certainly lower. Thank you.
Nice to see we got one below projection.
Yeah, a couple.
This resolution, please answer as your name is called.
Leyland,
Yes.
Little,
Yes.
Schwartz,
Yes.
Trelka,
Yes.
White,
Yes, resolution adopted. Next, a resolution that the amendment entitled Amendment 5, GPO to Pharmacy Benefit Management Services to the Pharmacy Benefit Management Services Agreement between Blackhawk County and Navitas Health Solutions, LLC, effective October 1st, 2021, be approved and recommended by Amanda Fessemeyer, Human Resource Director, and Director Chair to sign for same. Amanda?
Good morning, Amanda Fesmeyer, Human Resources Director. So, as I mentioned in our email to you guys earlier, this is an amendment. We haven't had an amendment on this plan since, I believe, January of 2011. But what this is allows our benefit manager for pharmacy benefits to pursue greater discounts. And again, we're anticipating this is going to have a little bit of an administrative fee, about $4,500 a year, but we're going to realize an additional $30,000 or $35,000, netting a $30,000 increase in additional savings. I worked with Tim Jamison of the auditor's office. He provided the rebate information. Each quarter we collect rebates from our pharmacy benefit manager, anywhere from $68,000 to $75,000 a quarter. So I don't feel we're really going to notice this administrative fee. And of course, if it does indeed result in $30,000 in additional savings, then that's a plus as well. So, any questions that I can answer regarding this amendment? It will go back to October. That was when they first joined this partnership, and had to work out a few of the kinks since then. So we'll be looking back at claims to October 1st.
Any questions? Chris or Tom, you got any questions?
No questions.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion on this? Waiting on a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? This resolution, please answer as your name is called.
Little,
Yes.
Schwartz,
Yes.
Trelka,
Yes.
Leyland,
Yes.
White,
Yes, resolution adopted. Next is a motion to direct the treasurer to refund $462 in taxes that were erroneously paid for the property locally addressed as 1685 Independence Avenue, Waterloo, to the title holder of such property pursuant to Iowa Code 44.5.60 as recommended by County Assessor T.J. Coinsfeld.
So
That's
moved.
me. Yeah, good morning, Board. Blackhawk County Assessor, TJ Koenigsfeld. And recently we had the new property owner from 1685 Independence. He approached us, said that the measurement of his building was miscalculated. So we did go out, confirm that. And It's been that way for a while, but Iowa Code 445.60 does allow a refund, so I'm recommending that.
Thank you, TJ.
Yep.
Thanks.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second on the floor. Any further discussion? All in favor, aye.
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 Opposed, motion carried. Next, the motion to approve Joseph Day as the Blackhawk County's proxy at the 2022 annual meeting of the Iowa Individual Health Benefit Reinsurance Association and direct the chair to sign for same the proxy form as recommended by Tim Jameson, Systems Real Estate Manager.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. I thought he was here.
He was.
Oh.
He left when his item came.
Any questions for Tim? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Next, the resolution that the tax sale certificate assignment for one house at 425 Webster Street, located at Waterloo, Iowa, pursuant to 446.31 of the Code of Iowa be approved, and the said certificate of purchase of tax sale be assigned to Citus Cultivation LLC as recommended by Rita Schmidt, County Treasurer. Morning, Rita.
Morning, Rita Schmidt, Treasurer. This is a home on 425 Webster Street. The taxes that are delinquent on this are close to $6,400. That's including real estate and special assessments. The Citus Cultivation is asking for the assignment and also a compromise on this to pay all principal for real estate and the special assessments, so it totals $4,021.62. The owner does not live in the property, they live out of state.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion on this? Hearing none, this is a resolution. Please answer as your name is called.
Schwartz,
Yes.
Trelka,
Yes.
Leyland,
Yes.
Little,
Yes.
White,
Yes, resolution adopted. Next, the resolution that the compromise offered in the amount of $4,021.62 plus the $10 assignment fee by Citus Cultivation LLC on the taxes owed for one house at 425 Webster Street, located in Waterloo, Iowa, be approved.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion on this item? This resolution, please answer as your name is called.
Trelka,
Yes.
Leyland,
Yes.
Little,
Yes.
Schwartz,
Yes.
White,
Yes, resolution adopted. Next is a discussion, the use of ARC funds for renovations at the Blackhawk County Jail.
Good morning, Board.
morning.
Captain Nathan Neff, Jail Administrator for the Sheriff's Office. This is something we talked about a couple months ago, and I appreciate you letting me bring it back up here. As you guys know, the jail holds 272 inmates for the last several years, well, minus 2 years ago with COVID, obviously threw a kind of a wrench in the works there. But we've been averaging in the 260 range in our inmates. There's times where it's gone up over 300. I think we were at 311 a couple years ago for a brief period. So all those inmates have to be held out of county. Anywhere, we spend $100,000 a year in that range, $80,000 to $100,000 a year. So more bed space is needed, but in addition to just the bed space, a lot of it is the type of beds that we need. As you know, with direct supervision, most of our pods hold 50 inmates. The only place where we hold smaller units is in our maximum security unit. And part of the big problem on that is with our counts the way they are, the juveniles going up, our most protected classes that we need to have in smaller areas. I'm not able to do that as the jail currently is constructed, and whether that be for juveniles, which we haven't held juveniles for several years until a few months ago. The amount of violent juvenile crime has gone up to where the detention center either can't or won't hold them, so they get put back in our laps in the jail. And then the other thing we're seeing more and more of is inmates that are so prone to being preyed upon in the jail, transgender inmates, that kind of thing. So those people need a safe place for us to put them to. Anytime we're up over 250 inmates in the jail, it just makes it very hard for us to work, to navigate, whether it be co-defendants, inmates that don't get along, rival gangs. There's just not much room to work with. So the proposal we're asking about here, we've worked with Shive Hattery, an architecture firm, to get this far to see if it's feasible to change a large mechanical room that's largely unused, used for some storage, but we can reallocate that stuff. They've come up with a couple different proposals that they'll have to fine tune, but they would still get us about 32 more beds. And again, that would give us 2 smaller units. They're assuming it would be, and one would be about 20 bed, one would be about 12 beds. That's going to let us have a place if we have to have juveniles there, if we have to have extra females put down there, if we have transgender inmates that we can put there. It's just a smaller group where we can have safer inmates. Again, getting back into the juveniles, a juvenile held with adults, according to PRIA's website, not only are they at a greater risk of sexual abuse, but they're 36 times more likely to commit suicide. 36 times if we have them housed with adults. That's a pretty large number there. And then when you get into other high-risk inmates, such as transgender inmates, they're 13 times more likely to be sexually assaulted while they're incarcerated. So again, if we can take those inmates, put them in a smaller group, put them, we can kind of handpick who they're around as opposed to just throwing them in with 50 other inmates, 49 other inmates. We're doing a lot to protect ourselves there. So the preliminary estimates that Shive Hattery came up with this, and that was going to be if it was built this year, which at this point it's probably pretty iffy if that would get done. We've got about $2.2 to $2.4 million estimate on that. And again, that's just the initial one. With inflation and everything else going the way it is right now, even next year that's going to be a lot larger. And then, 5 years down the road, who knows what that would cost us. So just to kind of wrap that up for you, I know obviously building jails or expanding jails right now certainly isn't the, I guess, the popular thing to do. One thing to keep in mind, though, I mean, this isn't the field of dreams. It's not a matter of if we build it, they'll come. They're already here. We just need someplace to put them, and more importantly, someplace to put them safely. This will also help us cut down on housing our inmates out of county. Just about a month or so ago, I had several out of county. Fortunately, that's flexed back down to where I don't have any, but I've got 36 female beds right now, and my count this morning was 36 females, so depending on what happens today, we could be running more females back out of county again. So we're constantly at that ebb and flow, and not only are we paying for them to be housed out of county, there's obviously the staffing, everything else that goes in with transports. So it's going to greatly reduce the county's liability while protecting its most valuable, or its most vulnerable population. So just the bed space in general we need, but that vulnerable population is something that we're going to be able to protect against. I mean, the liability there is pretty great, honestly. When you talk about 36 times more likely to commit suicide, 13 times more likely to be sexually assaulted. If any of those things happen, I mean, obviously from the humanitarian side, it's a terrible thing, but even if you're going strictly from the financial or logical side, we're going to pay a hefty price when those things happen too, if they do. So again, right now it's a great opportunity with the grant to be there to take care of that $3 million-ish that it's going to cost us to build. This is something that a few years down the road, going to be back here asking for you. If even a few years, could be a couple years, I'm going to be back asking for this project again. At that time, obviously, we're not going to have grant money. It's going to be something that costs in 5 years probably double what it is. So I guess to me, it's a matter of looking at it. In 5 years, I can come back and ask for $6 million of money that's going to have to be paid for by the taxpayers. Or now I'm asking if we can get this done through the ARPA funds, which were really targeted for public service and public health anyway. So, any questions?
You mentioned 32 more beds, and I think you said, would that be 2 pods?
Yep, that would be two
separate
pods.
With the 20 and the 12.
Originally we had it at 16 and 16, but their engineer came and looked underneath with where the mechanical room was what we're redoing. As according to the plans, it's the mechanical room. All that stuff ended up being built in the basement. So the true mechanical room downstairs, just where everything is, where they're going to have to put the walls and stuff, it's probably going to be more of a 12 and 20, which actually probably works out better for us anyway, because it gets me that smaller group where I can really kind of handpick who I want to put in that pod and keep those people safe.
And you mentioned too about the juveniles being held. They used to be held elsewhere?
Yep, anybody that's, we used to not hold any juveniles, for the last 5 years or so. Last fall, we had to start taking them in again because if they're 16 or 17 on a forcible felony, we can hold them. We still try not to. We still don't want them. But the detention center has the right to not take them because they're still under adult court. So federally speaking, PRIA recommends we do not hold any youthful offenders, which would be any 16, 17, 14-year-old, whatever. State law says we still can if they're 16 or 17 on a forcible. Again, we don't like to, we don't want to. It keeps us from being PRIA compliant. So and again, just the risk factors in having them in there. But they'll go out to the facility or detention center, and if they cause problems out there, again, they can call us up and say, this kid's being a problem, he's breaking things, he's assaulting my staff, whatever. We don't want him, and we have no choice. I'll try up here, I'll try Eldora, I'll try the other facilities. They actually will have us almost basically send a resume on them, especially at Central Iowa Detention Center. We'll send their face sheet and that kind of stuff, and they'll actually look it over and call back and say, yeah, we're not taking that kid. So unfortunately.
You never talked about, why don't you briefly go over the staff and the estimated cost that it's going to cost every year for the staff?
Okay. Yeah, I can do that. I mean, obviously there will be a cost associated with it. Right now I'm hoping that we can get this through, and even if it doesn't get staffed for a couple of years, that's something we can look at in a couple of years. Using this grant money to build it just makes perfect sense. However, I did work with Amanda. She got me some figures on it. It would take about 10 additional staff to run it 24/7, with them being civilian detention officers. For fiscal year 24, which I don't think we would even be ready for until 25, I think it was at let me double check my numbers here, $844,547 in 24. Assuming a 3% increase in their wages for 25, it would go up to $884,547, and that's taken into effect everything that's not just wages, that's taken into effect everything she gave me there. So.
I think the previous presentation we had on this was 14 staff and around $1 million for income as far as salaries, with a 3% probably every year, or at least a 3% every year.
Yeah, we've been at...
I see you reduced it from 14 to 10, so you're saying it's only 10 staff now?
No, I estimated 10 from the start, but I hadn't worked with Amanda, so I was just kind of throwing out an estimate of $100,000 per year on each employee. So she was actually able to bring that number down for me. So it's still the same 10 people. Like I said, it's just I'd estimated high for you on a ballpark figure, but the actual numbers came in quite a bit lower.
And you mentioned too, Nate, I was going to say the $100,000 line item that's for housing inmates in other
we should be
facilities
able
in other counties.
to eliminate that out of there. I'm not going to say 100%.
Are we using that approximately now, the 100,000?
I can show you. Over the last few years, pardon me here. In 2018, we were at 109,000. In 19, we're at about 81,000. 20 was obviously a COVID year. It was only 33,000 there. And then last year we were at about 74,000. And then this year, like I said, I've already been housing inmates out of county, both male and female. So some of that won't completely go away, because for those 14, 15-year-old juveniles and stuff, some of those we're still going to pay for, because we can't hold those in the jail.
And typically, what do we pay for that?
Typically, depending on the jail, $50 to $60 per inmate per night. So
Per night.
It starts adding up pretty quickly. And again, that doesn't cover any of our transportation costs. Another big risk we run there too is our contract with NAFCARE. They cover any medical emergencies that happen within our jail. But if we're paying to house one of these inmates out of county, he falls and breaks a leg, gets assaulted, whatever, NAFCARE doesn't cover that. So then the county's going to be paying for that out of height as well. So if somebody has a major injury, we could run up a pretty large medical bill on something that would have otherwise been covered if they were within our building.
How much do we charge for, what do we house, and how many people do we house in our jail?
Typically, we charge about $50 a night.
That's okay.
Yes, and then we really aren't able to. Sometimes if we have another county with a problem inmate, the smaller counties just can't deal with the guy that's constantly kicking, banging, and assaulting. We'll take some of those in, but with our numbers the way they are, we just can't. So I think when I first talked about this, and hopefully I didn't misconstrue that, I said there would be possibly a potential for some revenue. I don't want to present this as a moneymaker, because while we may take in a little bit here and there, it's certainly nothing that would be significant by any means. So.
Do those smaller jails have capacity for our overflow?
We take a lot to Bramer. When they're not available to, we take Clayton, which is I think over an hour to get to Clayton County. So, and there's been times when we were up over 300, we had them spread out at about 4 different jails, and Of course, then when the county attorney or their defendant or their attorney calls for them, then we have to kind of drop everything, run, go get them. It's kind of a nightmare.
Are those the two we predominantly use?
Clayton and Bramer are definitely our. Bramer's obviously just the proximity is our number one choice. Clayton almost always has room for us, so they're kind
Didn't
of. our
Bremer
number
just
two.
build a few years ago, build a jail, increase size, for the main thing of anticipation of Blackhawk County prisoners?
Well, I don't know if they're certainly reaping the benefits of it. I think they hold a lot of federal inmates, so I think which pay generally I think $70 or more per night.
Yeah,
So,
we've been taking them up there for years.
yeah, we've helped out with our expenses quite a bit.
I think it's, I've talked to the sheriff about this project numerous times. I think on the merit, it's an excellent project as far as using our funding for this and everything. But the kicker for me, and I told the sheriff that I have trouble getting by, is I know we've had a lot of discussion on ARP funding, and at one time, and I don't know if they stuck to the way they said before, but along with myself, there's two other supervisors said if it wasn't sustainable or use tax dollars, that they wouldn't approve it. Close to $1 million of tax dollars on our current budget, we could probably take care of it, but you gotta look at the long picture. And that $1 million is gonna increase 3%. And we may get to a point where it is a big deal on our budget, and then we go back to either raising taxes or cutting services. So, plus the fact that I made the statement, the others can speak for themselves. I think this would open the door wide open for the other departments too, the health department, which on numerous occasions we said, as long as it's sustainable and doesn't take future tax dollars. So that's the biggest problem I have with this project. Plus, I thought last week Supervisor Leyland said that we were going to do the individual projects. We were going to do them all at once. That's why the one last week, no action was taken. And then I see this week we have another single one on here.
This one wasn't for action though, Dom, just discussion today. So, yeah, I don't have a problem, I guess, with people bringing projects forward, just for speaking for myself, but I just thought, yeah, I'd like to take action on them later after we've had more information on the ARPA
And I
numbers.
understand.
Was the engineering services on this where they bid out?
Yeah, we had I said the Shive Hattery on it.
Yeah, but I mean, it was bid, and that's how you arrived at Jive.
Let's see. No, we did the.
I think, if I
Dr. Mike
remember
on
right,
this, yes.
Captain Neff, I believe that you arranged for the engineering prior to ARP funding. Is that correct?
Yes.
That's my recollection as well. And so it was not, pursuant to Chapter 26, Supervisor Little, bidding was not necessary because that engineering was not funded by federal funding.
Then I understand your concern about the future funds going forward, Tom. I really do. I get that. I wouldn't be standing here if I didn't think it was still a necessary thing. And as I mentioned before, this is something that is going to come before the board again, and whether it's in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. And then I'm not just going to be asking for the wages on the tax dollars. I'm going to be asking for the capital as well. And by that point, it's probably going to be twice what it is now. So, I mean, if we want to weigh $3 million in grant money now versus, who knows, $5 or $6 million in taxpayer money in a few years, that's one thing. This is eventually going to come against the board's budget. I know a lot of those projects next week, not to disparage them, but those are things that are never going to have to face the board's budget. They'll be out of their own individual budgets. So,
Yeah, I think it's an excellent project, and I think you've done you and your staff over there has done a good job in presenting it, designing it. Yeah, you're looking north of $3 million. It started today, in my opinion, the way the cost is going up. But that kicker on that additional $800 to $1 million a year on tax, that's a lot of money. That would make a near future budget where whoever's sitting up there is going to have to make some tough decisions. So, and then plus the fact, I guess if we did it here, we're gonna have to allow the other ones to do the same thing. But as far as merit, you guys did an excellent job on the project. I just can't get by that taxing that we're gonna have to do for the forever. I just have concerns with that. I don't think that's what the ARC money was intended for. I think it was to do, I believe I heard the words one time, shovel-ready projects. And, but again, I applaud you guys for what you've done over there.
And I think when I toured the jail, Captain Neff, I think the term I used was, let's take it one step at a time.
Yep.
The operating costs concern me, and the timing, I just don't know if the timing is good to add jail cells. I'm an advocate of regional jails. If the rural counties have capacity, I'm saying let's use them. They help us, we help them. And there is some additional cost, and as we go into the future, we can probably adjust that $100,000 that we utilize for going outside. I'm just uncomfortable at this point.
Any other comments?
I was just going to add to it, and I don't know how this impacts. I know over the years we've talked about, there was the Stepping Up Committee, and then there have been other groups that are continuing to work on
Right.
housing people that have suffer with mental illness issues. And that was there was an effort, I know, to try to get as many of them as possible out of the jail because they could be helped or assisted elsewhere.
Yeah, and we've got our own social worker and still working with Sarah Geiger from Corrections, and they're doing everything they can to find placement and to get our inmates out of there. Unfortunately, we're seeing more and more just violent offenders that whether they be from the shootings, from the robberies, from intimidation with weapons, those kind of things. And those people, obviously, we're stuck with them.
Yeah.
And then the problem is when we do have some of those other more susceptible inmates that are in there, now they're being housed with those violent offenders, and I really can't do anything to separate them. So again, I get the
I
financial
know.
side of it, but it's from the humanitarian side, from the liability side, we need to do something different. And with this grant, it just seems like the perfect time to me.
Considering it. Well, we're not voting on it today, so I suppose somebody
Right.
could, if we were to change our minds down the road, we have time, but I think, yeah, that's probably the hurdle that everybody would most like to overcome. But yeah, I want to think positively. I know there is a board that's been appointed now, and they're close as they can get to transitional housing for some of those people. I'd like to think some of those numbers could help, like, reduce some numbers for you, but that's being overly optimistic, probably, I'm sure
So,
you'd
yes.
say.
Yeah, I would love if we could get all of them out and work myself out of a job, but unfortunately, that doesn't seem to be the case, and it's certainly not where it's trending. So.
Is the number still quite high for the people that are housed there with those kind of, issues and problems that could be
Definitely
assisted better somewhere
It's
else?
certainly still higher than we'd like it. I mean, yeah, and a lot of those people have burned their bridges. I mean, we've gotten them placed here, we've gotten them placed there. Sarah and Jess do an excellent job of doing what they can. But once some of these people have gone to every alternative housing place, I know they're like, we're not going to take them. And some of them are being held on relatively small bonds, but they have no support system to get them out of there.
Are we ever turned down when we needed assistance, like as far as the other counties? Have we been able to house everyone?
Yeah, like I said, there's been times where we've had to take them to 4 different jails, and we're running all over the state to get it done. But
Yeah, I know, and the
I mean, we're-
transportation's, costly too, but we have been able to. That's
yeah,
okay.
we're able to get it done one way or another. But
Appreciate that, but thank you. Yeah, okay. I thought that was a question. I wondered if we ever hit up against that where,
not yet. We've gotten nervous plenty of times, but we get it done.
okay. Thank you.
Anything else? Chris, Tom?
No questions?
Thank you.
Thanks.
Moving on, I guess we'll move on to any reports or information from the board. I'd just like to, starting this week, I think I'm going to start announcing the names of, after looking at the list I've compiled over a short period of time since COVID set in, on veterans that have been dying recently. And we had 2 yesterday. Phil Standiford, send out our condolences to that family, and Gary Saucer from Evansdale. He was on our honor guard and did a lot in Evansdale for the people of Evansdale, and a lot of veterans he helped and slowly progressed where he couldn't get around very good, and He passed away Sunday morning, so send out our condolences to his significant other and to his kids. And his daughter's on her way back from Oklahoma, I think it is, and I'm going to meet with her later on today or early tomorrow to help her with set up funeral arrangements. So with that, is there anything else to come before us?
Oh, it's still all right. I talked to James a little bit yesterday on the ARP, having that work session next week. Is that still all right with everybody? Works for everybody's schedules to do that?
What day was that, Linda?
Tuesday?
Tuesday?
Just Tuesday, yeah,
Okay.
just Tuesday, kind of.
Yeah,
the
that sounds
same.
good.
Second.
That work for you, Tom, and Chris, too? To do it next week?
It's a good day.
Okay.
Yes, that's okay.
It's good for three of us. Okay,
All right.
great.
Sounds good. Yeah, we got. With that, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, aye.
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 Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.